You're listening to another podcast with Holly Hall. I'm Holly Hall, and my education is a master astrologer, background education in philosophy and psychology, neurolinguistic programming, past life regression therapy, hypnosis, heart math, and my claim to fame is my clairvoyancy. I coach my clients on a regular basis from anything to healing their childhood, looking at their past life, understanding all the relationships in their life, and helping them with their career and health issues. But all of it comes down to knowing thyself, the inner work that we need to do in order to evolve. And this is the fastest way to get that done. Painless, pain-free, and fun. So now, sit back, relax, have a cup of tea or coffee, take a walk, or while you're driving, day or night, and let's listen to the next show. What is a soul ascension? How many reincarnations do we have? What is a soul rebirth? These are three very specific questions that I address with many of my clients. They've even asked, does everyone have a soul ascension or a soul rebirth? And if so, how many? And if not, why? We're going to talk about this next on Ask Holly Hall. This is Holly Hall. I am a master astrologer and clairvoyant. I have a background education in psychology and philosophy, NLP, past life regression, hypnosis, and I use all of this to coach my clients. I help them not only with themselves, but all of their family members, children, spouses, parents, their childhood, everything. Often what happens is I will see a client when I'm looking at their chart and clairvoyantly their soul ascensions, their soul rebirth. And what that means is right in the middle of a lifetime, or 30 years into it, even 65, 70 years into a lifetime. Sometimes it's 2 years into a lifetime. There is an alignment that says, hey, your birth, your soul is ascending. You have accomplished what you needed to accomplish in this period of time. And now you will ascend, almost like going from high school to university. So you graduate, so to speak. But of course, you're still alive. Your human being is still alive. What goes with that often are new jobs. We move. We have new relationships. We have new friendships. We're not attracted during this soul rebirth or soul ascension. We're not attracted to the life that we had before, including all those people in it. And so we do need to find closure. A soul ascension is much easier. A soul rebirth is much more difficult because there are habitual patterns and habits that have come along with some of these soul families that you have belonged to in many lifetimes. And therefore, it's important to first address what those behavioral issues are, acknowledge them, see how they're not working for you, and then letting go of the situations, the events, and even some people that also belong to that type of behavioral environment that you're in. That's difficult. Not everyone wants to let go. Most people don't like change. You're listening to another episode with Holly Hall at AskHollyHall.com. If you're looking for a reading or a session with me, or to do some coaching so that you could evolve as fast as possible, heal your past, and co-create with your future, then get in touch with me at AskHollyHall.com, and we'll be talking soon. Now let's get back to our show. But in the meantime, let's just listen to a little bit of groove that can get you back into the move of our conversation. Speaking about change, I found it quite interesting. I think I had over 80 comments on my Facebook page, which is Ask Holly Hall, on why don't people like to change? And the consensus was fear. It's based on fear and expectations. I was once heard on Mayim. I never could say her. Bylock. Her. She's Amy from Big Bang Theory. She's got her own podcast now called Breakdown. It's really awesome. And she had a guest on there that had said there's only, or maybe it was ma'am, but there's only two emotions once everything broken down, which is fear and expectations. But I do have to add love. Although love is not an emotion, it is an isness, and I can talk about that on another podcast for sure. And we want change. I see change. When I talk to my clients, when I'm doing readings, we're talking about change. And because they're not happy in their marriage, they're confused about the relationship with their parents growing up. They don't understand some behavioral issues that they have, which come from past lives. They don't like their job. They don't like their health. As you may know, I'm not having clients where all we do is speak for an hour about every wonderful thing that's happening, although I make sure I do inject that often in my sessions. So we want change, but we don't want to change. And there is a way to walk through change. Often, we will not create change until the current situation we're in is unbearable. And so the fear or anxiety or expectation of the forthcoming change is just as scary as the situation that you're in. Then when it's neutralized, it's easy just to walk straight into the change. And yet, not everything is absolute. In fact, nothing's absolute. If you create the change and you don't like it, then you try another change. But you let the universe guide you through that. And so when somebody's going through a soul rebirth or a soul ascension is like graduating high school and getting your choice to go out in the work world, go to college, go to university, get your PhD, go to become a mechanic, engineer, etc. And it means that you have learned the lessons, developed the skills that you needed to in this lifetime, and now your soul can graduate into a whole new experience. And like I said, a lot of those people don't come along with you. And for people that don't like change, those that are sensitive, intuitive, private, are committed, tenacious, loyal, they have very high standards for themselves, goal-orientated, AAA personality. Those are the types that do not like change. Then they fight right to the bitter end. The ones that are more intellectual, cerebral, warrior, fighter, the prince and princesses, the actors, the educators, the writers, they're more adaptable and they will change. They do have to be careful that they don't change just for the sake of change. But they do like to explore new opportunities. And I'll be talking about the archetypes in a different episode as well. So a soul rebirth, soul ascension lasts about 2.5 years. And at first, in either situation, it's not easy because it is letting go, severing off soul family members that you've been with in many lifetimes. And that's challenging as well. And you got to mourn. You got to mourn the loss of your expectations, your dreams, the comfort zone that you were in, the people that you had spent that time with. You, I often say, write a letter of gratitude, even if you have a father who beat you and insulted you and crippled your confidence. You still want to thank them. You want to thank them for creating a challenge, forcing you to discover your clear boundaries, enabling you to witness who you are in the face of adversity, to build strength and courage, and ultimately wisdom. Wisdom comes from knowledge. Knowledge comes from experience. Thanking them, having gratitude for that opportunity, is basically telling the universe that you're happy with that opportunity. You don't have to specifically approach them and thank them. You can write a letter, and a letter that you may never send. And in most cases, it will humble them. In the worst case, it will completely confuse them, which means that you've planted a seed, an unknown seed that they have no clue what it's going to grow into, and you may not either. Forgiveness. I personally struggle with the word forgiveness because I believe that forgiveness means that somebody did something wrong and that makes you right. And I'm not saying that obviously someone who harms somebody physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically or sexually is definitely wrong, right? But the forgiveness part is a challenge because of the wrongness of that. Forgiveness can't make it right. What I like is acceptance. I accept who you were, what you've done, your story, the story that's told or untold, the story that's seen or unseen, by you or by myself. I accept the unknown. I surrender to not understanding why this has ever happened, but I do know what the outcome was. And the outcome, the silver lining around a very dark cloud, allowed me to be who I am now. The more difficult a childhood, the more not important, but the more gratification you will have when you go through a soul rebirth and a soul ascension. Because the outcome, the intention of the outcome is for you to utilize the lessons that you learned as a child or young adult in those experiences and take those tools and those new gifts and that awareness and that wisdom and bring it out into the world and help others. Because at that time you were a student. Now you are the wise teacher. And it can be on any level. You could be a superintendent in a low housing complex and be the wise teacher that helps and supports people in that environment. Or you could be a bestseller. Or you could be a mother in a neighborhood and volunteer with the kids or the schools. Doesn't matter how you do it. And then the universe shows up. What does it do? It does some really strange things. This is how it pushes you through your soul, especially soul rebirths. It does really confusing things. It does things like bring a new boss into the workplace that you can't stand. Right? You kind of didn't like your job before then, but now you really don't like your job. It brings in a new system, brings COVID in. It changes the mood of your mother-in-law, so her behaviors intensify. It brings you challenges in your marriage, with your children, maybe with your health. And that's the universe trying to squeeze you out of your situation, push you, kicking and screaming. But now you have a secret. And that secret is, when these things are happening, what are you going to do? Are you going to look, oh, thank you, universe. You're telling me that I need to make a change. And you will have several pushes and several opportunities until you decide, free will, when that will happen, sooner or later. Sooner or later. And so the suffering will turn into success. So if you're interested in knowing whether you're going through a soul rebirth, a soul ascension, on the technical terms, I look at Pluto, that is making a square, opposition, a trine, or a sextile to any of the inner planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And then if we know the time of your birth, I look at the house, and that determines to me whether it's in your home, with your marriage, at career, with your children, with your childhood, your parents, etc. So thank you for listening to another episode of Holly Hall. And you can contact me at askhollyhall.com and Ask Holly Hall on Instagram, Facebook page, Facebook group. Namaste.